There are millions of homes all across the world filled with unused junk. Closets overflowing, garages packed, and basements stacked with things that people haven't touched in years. But what if that junk could actually make you money? My family has had these speakers sitting in our basement for as long as I can remember. And honestly, they just take up too much space. It was time for them to be put in the alley and given away, but by some miracle, that same day, I found a short video by Amber Adams on TikTok showing how they turned their old speakers into coffee tables. And now I could envision my old speakers with a new life. Let's transform our speakers into modern coffee tables just like Amber and see if we can turn our junk into profit. But before we get started, we're gonna need some materials from the hardware store. We'll need spray paint for the speakers and wood for the stands. We can cut a 2x10 board for the base and a 2x2 into legs. We're also gonna need some glass for the tabletops, so I'll call up a local glass shop to get started on those. All right, I just spent about 30 minutes at the store. I wanna keep track of how much time I've spent on every single part, so at the end, I can figure out how much I've made per hour. But first, let's work on disassembling the speakers. All right, I'm not a big fan of these bumpers here. There's one on the top and one on the bottom. So I'm gonna try to take this hammer to them and hopefully they just come right off. Not too bad. All right, now we have everything pretty bare bones. I'm noticing some of this veneer peeling off a bit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and rip it all off on the parts where it's peeling. And then also when we took off the bumpers, there were screws and now there's some holes where those screws were. So we're gonna use some wood filler just to fill it in and then we can sand it smooth. All right, while we let that wood filler dry, let's start working on cutting the legs so that we can have them slanted at an angle like this. All right, now we have all our legs cut. We have one cut here and one cut here to attach to the base, just like this. So now we just need to pre-drill a hole and then we screw the screw in to attach it. Plan here is we're gonna drill down through the board, add a screw, put some wood glue on the leg, and then screw the leg onto the board. All right, now we have legs for our table and you can start to get a better idea of what the finished product is gonna look like. Our next step is to sand down this wood filler and then we have to sand all the surfaces that we're gonna paint just to scuff up the finish so that the paint will stick. Also, I wanna keep these stickers, these Fisher stickers. I think they look pretty cool. So we're just gonna add some painter's tape on top. And while we're sanding, let's go ahead and sand these legs down. I think we're gonna paint them black. It's not the most pretty wood, and I've heard pine is pretty hard to stain, so I think a nice black paint will look great. All right, we have everything all sanded down. Now we should give everything a good wipe down to get off all the dust to help the paint stick. For the paint, I'm going with this glossy orange and this glossy white color. And then for the legs, we have black. All right, we have a bit of a problem. So I thought I could get away without using any primer, but the paint is absorbing very unevenly, and you can especially notice it on this white speaker. So what we're gonna do is I actually have bonding primer and a paint sprayer. So we're gonna spray everything down with the primer. That should cover up the unevenness. And then I don't have any more orange paint, so instead of the orange, we're gonna go with this blue, and then we can keep the white color. And I also noticed on these cones, this white color is kind of fading and turning into a yellow. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna spray it down with a black and just have black cones. All right, it's the next day now. We let our first coat of paint fully dry. You can tell that we need a second coat. It'll help give us a better color and it'll cover up some of these missed spots that we have here. Also, I got a call from the glass shop saying that our tabletops are ready to be picked up. So we'll go ahead and pick those up after we're done with our paint, and then we'll assemble everything together. Now that we have our glass tops and our paint is fully dry, we're gonna start attaching the stands back onto the speakers. How we're gonna do that, we're just gonna flip the speakers upside down and then put the stand on top and just drill straight down and then add a few screws. Should hold it together pretty well. And then after that, we can start adding the speaker cones and then finally the glass top. And here's our finished product with the glass tops. I think they turned out great. I've never done a project with a glass top, but I think it really helps give it a more premium feel. Now that we're done, let's break down our profit. We used about $30 worth of paint. The wood for the stands cost us about $15. The glass tabletops cost $80 for both. And we could add an extra $10 for miscellaneous items like sandpaper. So in total, our costs were about $135. It took us a total of 5.5 hours of work, and I'm confident I'll find a buyer for $250 for each table. So if we subtract our costs, that gives us about $365 of profit, which means we made about $66 per hour, which is pretty solid. So far, I've listed them on Facebook Marketplace and a few other marketplace apps, but if you're watching this video and you're interested in buying them, make sure to message me on Instagram at newlifebynoah. And if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. All right, see you next time.